and the Atlanta Dream. Nike. Is Nike too late? Of course they are. 2 years too late, 3 years too late, 4 years too late, but better late than never, as they say. And the Indiana Fever taking some heat after the first return of All-Star votes came back.
There's a moment early in tonight's pregame coverage where Caitlin Clark walks into the arena holding her signature shoe, and the energy around her is different. It's genuine. It's the kind of excitement that's been missing for months. And if you've been paying attention to everything happening around her this season, you know exactly why that matters. Because tonight isn't just another game. Tonight is the debut of the Caitlin Clark 1, a signature shoe that by every logical measure should have existed 2 years ago. And the fact that it didn't.
Caitlin 1. Let's take a listen.
What's your favorite feature of the Caitlin 1?
I feel like it's just one. Oh my gosh. I think the fact that the outside part is C's and the inside part is 2's. But you can only tell close up.
Yeah, you can only tell. I can't tell from over here, but if you say so. In-game debut of the Caitlin 1's incoming Caitlin Clark in the locker room getting ready for the game, takes a picture of the shoe.
The fact that Nike sat on this opportunity while the biggest moment in women's basketball history was unfolding in real time has created a cascade of consequences that goes way beyond just sneakers. This is the story of a missed billion-dollar window, an organization that burned its own fan base to the ground, and a league that may not fully understand what it's losing until it's already gone. Let's get the timeline straight because it's important. February 2024, Caitlin Clark breaks Pete Maravich's all-time college scoring record, a record that had stood for over 4 decades. Her March Madness tournament run that year generated television ratings that beat NBA playoff games. She went #1 in the draft. She won Rookie of the Year. She shattered every single WNBA rookie record that existed. And Nike's response to all of that,
Out late, what took them so long, it's pretty easy what took them so long. It's not rocket science. Caitlin Clark, white, straight. The WNBA, predominantly black, lesbian. Let's push the woke agenda before we put Caitlin Clark. We'll lose money pushing the agenda, then make money pushing Caitlin Clark. It makes no sense, but it's the truth.
Shirt. Not a signature line, not a creative campaign, not even a logo, just a shirt with her records printed on the back. No design thought, no cultural moment built around it, just text on fabric, and they sold it like that was enough. Meanwhile, Asia Wilson already had her signature shoe. Sabrina Ionescu had hers. Breena Stewart had hers. These are all talented, deserving players, and nobody's taking anything away from them.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.
But when you line up the timeline and look at who was getting signature deals and who wasn't, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. The most watched, most talked about, most marketable player women's basketball had ever produced was being handed a T-shirt, while others were getting full signature lines. And that decision wasn't made in a vacuum. Commentators and fans have pointed out the uncomfortable reality directly. Reports suggest Nike was prioritizing alignment with the WNBA's existing internal culture over what the actual market data was screaming at them. That's speculative in terms of internal motive, but the results aren't speculative at all. They're measurable. They show up in revenue. They show up in stock price. Nike was sitting around $115 a share a decade ago. Today it's under $50. More than half their market value gone during a stretch of years where they were consistently choosing optics over opportunity. The Caitlin Clark situation is just the most visible.
It makes no sense, but it's the truth. I was watching Behind the Line earlier today. Nike stock was hovering around $115, maybe even more over 10 years ago, and now we're sitting around $50, less than $50. They could have pulled this trigger a long time ago, and they opted not to. Got some feedback. A time when the shoe should have been released in 2024. I agree. This shoe should have came out in 2024.
Full example of that pattern playing out in public. Now the shoe itself, because it deserves a fair look. The Caitlin Clark one has a detail that's either brilliant design or an accidental metaphor depending on how you look at it. The outside of the shoe is translucent. The inside is opaque. From the outside you can see the 3s printed there, but from the inside you can only see the 2s. Caitlin described it herself, saying the outside is 3s and the inside is 2s, but you can only tell from wearing them. She lit up talking about it. That's real enthusiasm, not manufactured press tour energy. The cloud cushioning technology sounds legitimate too. Multiple people watching the debut were genuinely curious about how the shoe performs for sprinters and distance runners, not just basketball players. That kind of crossover curiosity is
among the league leaders in the first round of fan vote returns. No one will be talking about the Fever in 3 years. Jeez. This is what you get for pushing fans away. Never forget who got you what you have. CC is not number one with million of votes already in year 3 as a fumble by the Fever. People losing interest, just look at your attendance. Damn, if this is accurate, it's embarrassing. Sad what this team has done to interest around CC, or maybe this was the play. Damn. There's no way with the
exactly what a signature shoe needs to break out of its sport and into broader culture. From a pure product standpoint, Nike probably delivered something solid here. The blue colorway is sharp. The design has thought behind it. Caitlin's excitement is the kind you can't fake. But here's the thing about products. They don't exist in a vacuum. They exist in context. And the context surrounding this shoe release is complicated in ways that go far beyond the design itself. Because while Caitlin is smiling for the camera and talking about cushioning and colorways, a set of numbers just dropped that tells a completely different story about what's happening to her brand and to the league around her. The first round of all-star voting results came out this week, and the Indiana Fever fan base did not respond with celebration. They responded with anger, because Caitlin Clark, the player who single-handedly transformed WNBA viewership and attendance in 2024, is sitting in 5th place with 253,000 votes. 5th. Last year at the exact same point in the voting process, she had 515.
The way AB has been playing, she should be ahead of CC. What is going on? This is what happens when you suppress your star player. Stop voting for opposing player. Their fans don't vote for us. Indiana Fever have damaged Caitlin's brand. This is very sad. Leave it to the Indiana Fever organization to celebrate Caitlin Clark being at 5th. No way Caitlin only has 253,000 votes. Show this to Seth so she can understand why she must give a fuck about fans when she's coaching the
1,000. That's not a dip. That's a 51% collapse in fan engagement in under 12 months. And it's not just Caitlin. Nafisa Collier dropped from around 490,000 votes to roughly 300,000. Ajah Wilson saw similar declines. Across the board, WNBA All-Star voting is down significantly compared to last season. But Caitlin's drop is the steepest of anyone, and her fans are not being vague about why. The comments aren't just frustrated, they're specific. They're naming names: Steph, Lynn, Kelly, Amber. They're pointing directly at the Indiana Fever's front office and coaching staff and saying, this is your fault. You did this. And what makes that response interesting is that it isn't just emotion. It tracks with every other measurable piece of data available. Home attendance at Fever games is down compared to last year. Viewership for their games is down. Social media engagement is trending in the wrong direction. Every single metric that measures how much fans care is pointing the same way, and her performance on the court hasn't declined. Her stats this season are comparable.
Not navy blue, but a deep blue. I'm not opposed to the color myself. Caitlin Clark with the Caitlin ones in hand. We have the CC logo tonight. I'll say this right now, Caitlin. I'm gonna tell you this right now. You better give me something tonight. 30 and 10, 30-point triple-double, a 20-point triple-double, I'll take it. A 40-piece, I'll take that too. A 50-piece.
To her rookie year. She's still making plays. She's still the most skilled player in the league. What changed isn't her. What changed is the relationship between the organization and the people who showed up to support her. This didn't happen by accident. There's a clear sequence of decisions that led directly to where things stand now. It started with language. Stephanie White publicly referred to Caitlyn's fan base as the dark side. That wasn't a slip. That wasn't taken out of context. That was how she actually views the people buying tickets and merchandise and driving the viewership numbers that keep the league financially relevant. Kelly Crosskopf and Lynn Dunn echoed similar sentiments at different points throughout the season. The organizational tone was consistent. The new fans were a problem to be managed, not an asset to be cultivated. Then there were the coaching decisions. One of the biggest and most consistent criticisms of Stephanie White's system is that it limits Caitlyn's three-point attempts. The offense under White...
Just please, don't come. You know, I'm not even gonna say the words out loud. Just make sure, but come correct tonight. Ready to put on a show. This is you don't want to wear the shoes for the first time on court and have a, you know, you want to wear them and have a solid game. Want to come out with a victory. Is it the shoes, Mike? Is it the shoes? That's what we want. Is it the shoes, Caitlyn? Is it the shoes? That's the kind of energy we want leaving this game. Oh man, it's the shoes. I got to get a pair of those shoes. I'll play like that. That's the energy that we need to get going on after today's game.
Leans toward isolation plays and mid-range shots, pulling back on the deep shooting that made Caitlyn Clark a phenomenon in the first place. People didn't show up to women's basketball to watch mid-range jumpers. They showed up because a player was attempting and making shots from distances that most professional basketball players won't even consider. When you take that out of the offense, you take out a significant piece of why the audience came in the first place. The shoot more threes shirt Caitlyn wore into the arena tonight, whether it was intentional commentary or just a shirt she liked, landed as a direct jab at her own coach's system. And the fact that it reads that way tells you everything about the tension that fans have been flagging for months. The Fever seemed determined to make Caitlyn fit into their existing framework rather than building something around what she actually does best. That approach might keep coaching egos intact. It won't keep a casual fan base engaged.
So the secret sauce is basically clouds on your feet, huh? My next sprint will feel like a cheat code. I do wonder how they feel for sprinters. I do wonder how they're going to feel for sprinters, for runners, for long distance. I wonder how they're going to stack up. I'm just curious. Now we have the Nike. Jason Whitlock saying Caitlyn Clark's signature shoe would have done historic sales 2 years ago, but Nike opted.
All-star voting numbers dropped and the fan reaction came in hot. The Fever's response was to celebrate. They put out content highlighting that they have 3 players in the top 10. They framed the same numbers that their fan base was calling a disaster as some kind of organizational achievement. And that response, more than almost anything else, captures exactly why the disconnect exists and why it keeps getting wider. The fans are looking at a 51% drop in Caitlyn's vote total and saying this is a crisis. The organization is looking at the same numbers and saying, look how many of our players are getting attention. Those are 2 completely different readings of the same reality, and the gap between them is the entire problem compressed into one moment. Because having 3 players in the top 10 of all-star voting means nothing if the overall numbers are collapsing. It means nothing if the fan base that drove last year's historic growth is actively checking out. It means nothing if the trajectory is pointing toward irrelevance rather than
have been even bigger then, but they had to put her on the back burner. They had to make her wait. It seemed like Nike really didn't care, to be fair with you. Even during her rookie season, as she's breaking all these records, Nike wasn't saying anything. Nike wasn't marketing her. We didn't even get Caitlyn Clark apparel until the summer before. After all the records were broken, then they just give us a t-shirt with just records on the back. No creativity, no thought going into it, just writing on the back of a t-shirt, and they sold it. Took Nike 2.5-ish years, 3 years to come out with a logo. Well, it took so long for the logo.
Expansion. Last year, the Indiana Fever had something genuinely rare. They had cultural momentum. They had media attention that women's basketball hadn't experienced in its entire history. They had fans who were passionate, loud, engaged, and spending money. That doesn't just happen. That's not something you can manufacture with a marketing budget. That emerged organically around one player's ability to capture a national audience, and it was a gift. And instead of protecting it, instead of doing everything possible to nurture that relationship with those fans, The organization consistently signaled that those fans were unwelcome. So the fans left, and now the numbers reflect it. Zoom out from the fever for a second, and the picture gets even more concerning. The WNBA spent decades trying to become relevant, real decades of financial struggle, limited media coverage, and an audience that never quite broke through to the mainstream. Then Caitlin Clark arrived, and in one season brought more new viewers to the league than anything in its history. The opportunity that created was not subtle. It was massive and obvious and sitting right there. The league's response was to let its existing power structures push back against it. Players made comments that alienated new fans. Media members spent more energy policing who was and wasn't allowed to be.
If I'm the WNBA, I'm a bit concerned. Big night tonight, Caitlin Clark debuting the CC1s. Nike fumbled the bag. It is what it is, but better late than never. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, and subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me. See you next time, and as always, take it easy.
A WNBA supporter than they spent celebrating the growth itself. Teams like the Fever treated the influx of new attention as a cultural threat rather than a financial opportunity. And the casual fans who had just discovered women's basketball through Caitlin Clark found themselves being told in various ways that they weren't really welcome here. Mainstream audiences don't tolerate that. They're not obligated to stay anywhere. They showed up because something exciting was happening. And when the people running that something made clear that the new audience was a problem, the new audience quietly moved on. A 51% drop in all-star voting engagement isn't natural attrition. Some drop-off between a player's first and second season is normal and expected. Half the fan base evaporating in under a year is active disengagement, and it's happening across multiple metrics simultaneously. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern with a cause. Which brings everything back to the shoe and to the timing of this release specifically. From a pure business standpoint, you release a signature shoe when interest in the player is at its highest point. You drop it during March Madness when she's breaking scoring records and the entire country is watching. You release it the week she's drafted #1. You get it to market during the rookie season when she's setting records every other week and the cultural conversation around her is louder than anything in women's sports history. That's when you release the shoe. Nike is releasing it now. January 2025, over a year after her rookie season ended, at a moment when fan engagement is declining, when the broader WNBA audience is contracting, when the momentum has already stalled. They didn't have a choice at this point. They'd already lost too much ground to competitors, and the pressure to get something to market was undeniable.
Into the building tonight with the Caitlin ones in hand. She's also wearing a shirt that says, "Shoot more threes." I bet Stephanie White read that shirt and cringed instantly. Stephanie White said, what does that shirt say? Shoot more threes. And she collapsed right there on the spot, fainted right there on the spot. Caitlin Clark.
But releasing it now means this shoe is launching into a headwind instead of a tailwind. And that matters enormously for what the sales numbers are ultimately going to look like compared to what they could have been. The core fan base will buy them. The people who stuck around through the Fever's mismanagement and the league's hostility toward new supporters are committed. They'll purchase the shoes, post about them, wear them. But the casual fans who were part of the 2024 wave, many of them have already moved on. The cultural moment that would have made this release historic has passed, and everyone who watched this situation unfold in real time knows that. Fans in comment sections are being direct about it. Nike fumbled the bag, too late, should have been 2024. They're not wrong, and Nike's own stock chart agrees with them. Step back from all of it and look at what the data is collectively saying. All-star voting down 51% for the league's biggest star. Attendance declining at Fever home games. Viewership for WNBA broadcasts trending downward. Nike stock under $50 after sitting above $115 a decade ago. These aren't separate, unrelated data points. They're all symptoms of the same underlying failure. Institutions consistently choosing internal optics over the audience actually paying attention. Caitlin Clark's performance didn't cause any of this. Her stats are holding. Her skill level hasn't dropped. She's still the most watchable player in the league by a significant margin. What eroded wasn't the product on the court. What eroded was the trust between the organizations surrounding her and the fans those organizations depend on to survive. The fans who were called the dark side and bots and dismissed as illegitimate didn't quietly accept that characterization. They walked, and they took their engagement with them. The all-star voting numbers right now are an early warning system. They're showing that the casual fans who made 2024 historic are not converting into long-term WNBA supporters. And if the people with actual decision-making power in this league don't read those numbers correctly, the decline will continue. The window to course correct is narrowing. It was wider in April 2024. It was still open in October 2024. Right now, in January 2025, with the shoe finally here and the votes already down, it's getting close to the point where the momentum of 2024 becomes just a story people tell about what could have been. The Caitlin Clark one is here. The shoe looks good. Caitlin's excitement about it is real, and that part matters. But everything surrounding this release tells a more complicated story. Nike waited too long and released the right product at the wrong time. The Indiana fever alienated the fan base that made their organization nationally relevant. The WNBA let internal politics override an opportunity to permanently expand its audience. And now every metric pointing downward is the receipt for those decisions. The voting numbers, the attendance figures, the viewership data, none of it is speculation. It's measurable reality playing out in public. And the question hanging over all of it is whether anyone with power in this situation is reading the data honestly, or whether they're going to keep celebrating third place like it's a victory while the audience quietly disappears. The shoe is on Caitlin's feet. The moment it was built for has already come and gone. What happens next depends entirely on whether the people who fumbled this are willing to admit it.